Welcome to Bedtime Daydreams. Tonight, we're going to experience what it would be like to wake up one morning and discover you can play the piano like a virtuoso. Not just play it, but really play it. The kind of playing that makes people stop in their tracks, that brings tears to their eyes, that makes the world disappear. You know that feeling when you hear a beautiful piece of piano music and it just moves something inside you? Tonight, you're not just listening. You're the one creating it. Your fingers are dancing across the keys, and the music is pouring out of you like it's been there all along, just waiting. Before we begin, if you enjoy this kind of content, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps us create more of these stories for you. And leave a comment telling us where you're from, what time it is where you are, and what piece of music you'd play first if you could suddenly play the piano like a master. Okay, let's begin. Close your eyes if you want to, get comfortable, and let's step into this dream together. It's a Saturday morning, and you're at your friend Sarah's apartment. She's having a little brunch thing, just a few people, nothing fancy. You're standing in her living room with a coffee cup in your hand, chatting with someone about work, when you notice the piano in the corner. It's a beautiful, upright, dark wood. Looks like it's been well cared for. You've been to Sarah's place probably 10 times before, and you've seen that piano every time, but you've never really paid attention to it. Sarah notices you looking at it. She comes over with a smile and says, "Oh, that's my grandmother's piano. I keep meaning to learn how to play it, but you know how it is. Life gets busy." She laughs a little, and you nod, because yeah, you do know how it is. Then she says something that changes everything. She says, "Do you play?" And here's the thing. You don't play. You never have. Maybe you took a few lessons when you were a kid and quit after a month. Or maybe you never touched a piano in your life. But something makes you walk over to it. Something makes you say, "Not really. But can I try?" Sarah lights up. "Of course. Go ahead." A couple of other people turn to watch, curious now. You set your coffee down on the side table and sit on the bench. The wood is smooth under your hands as you adjust the seat height. You look down at the keys, black and white, and they look so simple, so straightforward. Just keys. You lift your hands and place them on the keys. They're cool against your fingertips. And then something incredible happens. Your fingers know what to do. Without thinking, without planning, they start to move, and music comes out. Not just any music, beautiful music. Your right hand is playing a melody, something that sounds familiar but you can't quite place. And your left hand is doing this complicated thing with the bass notes. And it's all working together perfectly. The notes are flowing out of you like water, like they've always been there, and you're just letting them out. You can hear the room go quiet behind you. The conversations stop. Someone actually gasps. But you can't stop to process that because you're in it now. You're really playing, and it feels incredible. Your fingers are moving faster, more confident, and the music is getting more complex, more layered. You're playing runs and trills and these beautiful harmonic progressions that you didn't even know existed 5 minutes ago. And the crazy thing is, it feels natural. It feels like breathing. Your hands know exactly where to go, exactly how much pressure to use, when to slow down, and when to speed up. You're playing with dynamics, making some parts soft and tender, other parts strong and powerful. The piano is responding to your touch, like it's an extension of your body. You finish the piece with this beautiful, ringing chord that hangs in the air. And for a moment, there's complete silence. Your hands are still on the keys, and you're breathing a little hard, and your heart is pounding, but not from nervousness, from joy, from this incredible rush of creating something beautiful. Then the room erupts. Everyone's clapping and cheering, and Sarah is standing there with her hand over her mouth, and she's got tears in her eyes. She comes over and says, "What the hell was that? You said you didn't play." Her voice is shaking a little. And you're shaking your head because you're just as confused as she is. You say, I didn't. I don't know what just happened." Your hands are trembling a little as you look down at them. These hands that just created something you've never been able to create before. One of the other guests, this guy named Marcus, who you've met once or twice, comes over. He's a music teacher. You remember Sarah mentioning that. He looks at you with this intense curiosity and says, "Can you play something else? Please?" You don't even have to think about it. Your hands go back to the keys, and this time, something different comes out. It's Chopin. You don't know how you know it's Chopin, but you do. You know it's a nocturne, and you know exactly how it should sound. Your fingers are dancing over the keys, playing these incredibly complicated passages that should take years to learn, but they're just happening, like magic. The music is so beautiful, it almost hurts. There are these moments where the melody just soars, where it breaks your heart a little, and you can feel it happening to everyone in the room. When you finish, there's that silence again, that sacred kind of silence that happens after something profound. Marcus is staring at you like you're some kind of miracle. He says, "That was the nocturne in E flat major, opus 9, number 2. You played it perfectly, better than perfectly. You played it with feeling, with understanding. How long have you been studying?" You tell him the truth. You tell him you've never studied, that you don't understand what's happening. And even as you're saying it, you can see he doesn't quite believe you. But Sarah backs you up. She says, "I've known them for 5 years. They've never mentioned playing piano. They always said they weren't musical." Marcus sits down on the couch, and he's got this look on his face like he's trying to solve a puzzle. He says, "Play something else, something specific." He thinks for a moment, then says, "Rachmaninoff, Prelude in C-sharp minor." And here's where it gets really wild. You don't just know that piece. You know every single note. You know how it starts with those big dramatic chords that sound like bells ringing out. You know how it builds and builds until it's this massive, overwhelming wall of sound. And you can play it. So you do. You turn back to the piano and you play the opening chords, and they're so powerful that someone's water glass rattles on the coffee table. The music is huge, dramatic, technically insane, and you're playing it like you've been practicing it for years. Your hands are flying across the keyboard, hitting these enormous chords, then racing through these delicate, intricate passages, and it's all perfect. When you finish, you're actually sweating a little. That piece is physically demanding, and you can feel it in your shoulders and arms. But it's a good feeling. It's the feeling of having done something difficult and done it well. The room is completely silent now. No one's even pretending to sip their coffee. They're all just staring at you. Finally, Marcus stands up and walks over. He sits next to you on the piano bench, and he says very quietly, "I need you to come to the conservatory. I teach at the Juilliard. I need other people to hear this." The rest of the brunch is a blur. Everyone wants to talk to you, ask you questions, hear you play more. You play for another hour, just going from piece to piece, and every single one is perfect. You play Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, and everyone gets quiet and still. You play some jazz, some Gershwin, and suddenly people are smiling and swaying. You play Debussy's Clair de Lune, and Sarah actually starts crying. It's not just that you can play the notes. That would be amazing enough. But you understand the music. You know when to pull back and when to push forward. You know how to make a phrase sing, how to make a chord resonate in a way that touches something deep in people's souls. You're not just playing piano, you're creating art. Finally, the brunch starts breaking up. People are leaving, but they're all exchanging phone numbers with you, telling you they want to come to your first concert, asking when you're going to record something. Marcus gives you his card and makes you promise to call him on Monday. He says, "This isn't normal. This is something special. We need to figure out what to do with this gift." When everyone's gone, it's just you and Sarah. You're sitting on her couch and you both keep looking at the piano like it might have answers. Sarah says, "So this is real, right? This actually just happened?" You nod, because yes, it's real. You can still feel it in your fingers, that muscle memory that shouldn't exist but does. You say, "I don't understand it. This morning I woke up normal. Now I can play piano like a virtuoso. How does that even happen?" Sarah shakes her head. She's got this amazed smile on her face. She says, "I don't know, but whatever it is, it's incredible. You were making people cry with your music. Do you know how rare that is? Most pianists practice their whole lives and never touch people the way you just did." You stay for a while longer, and Sarah makes you play a few more pieces, just because she can't get enough of it. You play some quieter things now, some simple melodies, and they're just as perfect as the complicated pieces. You realize that it's not just about technical skill. You have musicality. You have soul in your playing. You understand what the composer was trying to say, and you can say it through the piano. When you finally leave Sarah's apartment, it's late afternoon. You're walking down the street in a daze, replaying everything in your mind. Your phone is buzzing constantly. People from the brunch are texting you, asking for your social media, asking when you can play for them again. One person already posted a video to Instagram, just a short clip of you playing Clair de Lune, and it's got hundreds of likes already. You walk past a music store, the kind that sells instruments and sheet music, and you stop. Without really thinking about it, you go inside. The place smells like wood and paper and rosin. There's a baby grand piano in the corner, and the guy behind the counter sees you looking at it. He says, "Want to try it out? It's a beautiful instrument. Just came in yesterday." You nod and walk over. You sit down, and it's like coming home. The bench is exactly the right height. The keys are perfectly weighted. And when you start to play, the sound is even better than Sarah's upright. This piano has depth and richness, and you can make it do anything you want. You play some Bach, the Goldberg variations, and it's like having a conversation with the instrument. You can hear every voice in the counterpoint, every line weaving in and out, and your fingers know exactly how to bring it all out. When you finish, the guy behind the counter is standing right next to you, and there are 3 other customers who've stopped what they were doing to listen. The guy says, "You're a professional, right? You play in concerts?" You say, "Actually, I just started playing today." He laughs because he thinks you're joking. But when he sees your face, the laugh dies. He says, "Wait, seriously?" And you nod. He runs his hand through his hair and says, "That's not possible. You just played Bach's Goldberg variations. Do you know how hard that is? That's conservatory level playing. That's concert level playing." You don't really know what to say to that, so you just shrug. But inside, you're starting to realize what this means. This isn't just a fun party trick. This is a real talent, a real gift. People who hear you play are moved. They're amazed. They can't believe what they're hearing. The guy gives you his card and says, "If you ever want to come back and play this piano, just call me. Anytime. Seriously. What you just did for my store, the atmosphere you created, that's worth more than any advertisement I could buy." You walk out of the store, and now you're really thinking about what Marcus said, about going to Juilliard, about letting other people hear you play, about what this could become, because this isn't just something fun that happened at a party. This could change your life. You find yourself walking to the park, to this spot where there's sometimes a piano. It's one of those public piano projects where they put pianos in public spaces for anyone to play. You've walked past it 100 times and never paid attention, but now you're drawn to it. When you get there, the piano is free, and there are people sitting on benches nearby, enjoying the weather. You sit down at the piano, this beaten up old upright that's been rained on and played by thousands of different hands. But when you touch the keys, it doesn't matter that it's not perfectly in tune, or that some of the keys stick a little, because you can work with that. You can make it beautiful anyway. You start playing something soft and contemplative, something original that just comes to you in the moment. You're improvising, and it's incredible. The notes are flowing out of you, like you're making it up and discovering it at the same time. It's jazzy and classical, and something entirely your own, all mixed together. People start gathering. At first, it's just a few people who were already in the park, but then more people come over. They're pulling out their phones, recording you. Some of them are swaying to the music. Some are sitting down on the grass. Some are just standing there with their eyes closed, listening. You play for maybe 20 minutes, just letting whatever wants to come out, come out. And when you finish with this gentle fading chord, there's applause. Real, enthusiastic applause. Someone puts a $10 bill in the piano's tip jar. Then someone else puts in a 20. People are coming up to thank you, telling you that was the most beautiful thing they've heard in ages, asking where they can hear you play again. One woman, she's got to be 70 or 80, comes up with tears streaming down her face. She takes your hand and says, My husband proposed to me at a piano concert 60 years ago. What you just played reminded me of that night. Thank you for giving me that memory back. And that's when it really hits you. This gift, whatever it is, wherever it came from, it's not just about you. It's about what you can give to other people. You can make them feel things. You can take them back to important moments in their lives. You can create beauty in a world that needs more beauty. You sit there on the piano bench after everyone's gone, and you just let yourself feel it. The weight of it, the joy of it, the possibility of it. This morning you woke up as one person, and now you're someone completely different. You're a pianist, a virtuoso, someone who can create magic with their hands. Your phone buzzes again. It's a text from Marcus. Been thinking about you all afternoon. When can you come to the school? I want to introduce you to some people. This could be the beginning of something extraordinary. You text back, Monday, I'll be there Monday. Because this is the beginning. This is the moment when everything changes. You stand up from the piano bench, take one last look at this old, weather-beaten piano that just helped you create something beautiful, and you start walking home. But you're not the same person who walked to Sarah's brunch this morning. You're someone new, someone with a gift that could change not just your life, but the lives of everyone who hears you play. Monday morning comes, and you're standing outside Juilliard. The building is intimidating in a way you didn't expect. You can hear music coming from inside, snippets of practice sessions and warm-ups, the sound of people who've dedicated their lives to their craft. And you're about to walk in there and tell them you just started playing 2 days ago. Marcus meets you at the entrance. He's got 2 coffees and a nervous energy about him. He says, I've been thinking about this all weekend. I talked to some colleagues about you, didn't give them details, just said I'd heard someone remarkable. They're curious. He hands you a coffee and says, Ready? You're not sure you're ready, but you nod anyway. You follow him through the hallways, and it's like entering another world. There are practice rooms on both sides, and you can see students through the small windows in the doors, hunched over their instruments, working through difficult passages over and over. These are people who've been training since they were children, people who've sacrificed everything for music. Marcus leads you to a recital hall, smaller than the main concert hall, but still impressive. There are 3 people waiting there. Marcus introduces them. Dr. Chen, head of the piano department, Professor Rodriguez, who teaches music theory, and Elena Volkov, a concert pianist who sometimes teaches master classes at the school. Elena is the one who speaks first. She's probably in her 50s, elegant and a little intimidating. She says, Marcus tells us you have an unusual gift. We're curious to hear what that means. Her accent is Russian. Her tone is polite, but skeptical. You can tell she's heard a lot of self-proclaimed prodigies before. You walk to the grand piano in the center of the room. It's a Steinway, beautiful and perfectly maintained. You sit down, adjust the bench, and you can feel 4 sets of eyes on you. This is different from playing at the park or at Sarah's apartment. These people know music inside and out. They'll hear every mistake, every hesitation. But when your hands touch the keys, all that anxiety disappears. You decide to start with something they'll all know, something that will show them what you can do. You play Liszt's La Campanella, one of the most technically difficult pieces in the repertoire. Your fingers are flying across the keyboard, hitting those impossible jumps and trills that sound like bells ringing. The music is joyful and playful and incredibly demanding, and you're playing it like it's easy. You can feel when they realize what they're hearing. There's a shift in the energy of the room, a kind of tension that comes from witnessing something unexpected. You finish with the bright, triumphant ending, and there's silence. Not the good kind of silence, the shocked kind. Dr. Chen stands up and walks closer. He says, "Marcus told us you just started playing this weekend. I assumed he was exaggerating, but I've been teaching for 30 years, and I can tell when someone has recently learned a piece versus when they've truly mastered it. What you just did, that level of comfort and control, that usually comes from years of study." He pauses, then says, "Play something you've never played before. Sight read this." He hands you a piece of sheet music. It's something contemporary, lots of complex rhythms and unusual chord progressions. You've never seen it before in your life. But when you look at the notes on the page, you understand them. Not just what notes they are, but what they mean, how they should sound, how they fit together. You start playing, and it's like the music is translating itself directly from the page through your fingers to the keys. Your sight reading this difficult piece perfectly, with feeling and interpretation, like you've been practicing it for months. Elena stands up abruptly. She walks over and says something in Russian, then catches herself. In English, she says, "I don't understand this. This is not possible. Sight reading is one thing, but you're interpreting. You're making musical choices. You understand the structure of the piece. How?" You shake your head. You say, "I don't know. I woke up Saturday morning and I couldn't play piano. By Saturday afternoon, I could play anything. I don't know how or why." Professor Rodriguez has been quiet this whole time, but now he speaks. He says, "Play something from memory, something you heard once but never played. Can you do that?" You think for a moment, then remember a piece you heard on the radio years ago. Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2, the first movement. You only heard it once, but you remember it. And when you start playing it, you realize you don't just remember the melody. You remember the whole thing, the piano part at least, every note, every nuance. Your fingers know what to do, and the music pours out, lush and romantic and technically astounding. You play for maybe 10 minutes, just the main sections, enough to show them you know it. When you stop, Elena is sitting in one of the audience chairs with her head in her hands. Dr. Chen is pacing. Professor Rodriguez is writing notes furiously. Marcus looks like he wants to say, "I told you so," but is too overwhelmed to speak. Finally, Elena looks up and says, "We need to document this. We need to test you properly. This is something I've never encountered. You have perfect pitch, yes?" You didn't know that, but when she plays a chord on the piano and asks you to name the notes, you can. You can hear every note in the chord, can tell her the exact pitch. She plays more complex chords, clusters of notes, and you can identify all of them. Dr. Chen says, "We should do an MRI, study your brain. This kind of sudden acquisition of skill, it's neurologically fascinating. But more than that," and here he pauses, looking at you with something like awe. You need to share this. The world needs to hear you play. The rest of the morning is a blur of tests and demonstrations. They have you play different styles, different periods, Baroque, classical, romantic, modern, jazz, blues, ragtime. You can do all of it. They test your ear, your rhythm, your understanding of theory. Everything is perfect or near perfect. You're not just a gifted pianist. You're a complete musician with knowledge and understanding that should take decades to acquire. During a break, you're sitting in the hallway when a student walks by. She stops when she sees you and she says, "Oh my God, you're the park piano person. I saw the video. You have like 2 million views already." She pulls out her phone and shows you. Someone posted that video of you playing in the park, and it's gone viral. People are sharing it, commenting, asking who you are and where they can hear more. The comments are overwhelming. "This is the most beautiful piano playing I've ever heard. Who is this person? I'm literally crying. This is so gorgeous. I could listen to this for hours." The video has been viewed over 2 million times in just 2 days. Your improvised park performance has touched millions of people. Marcus finds you and sees what you're looking at. He says, "Yeah, I saw that last night. You're famous now, whether you plan to be or not." He sits down next to you and says, "So what do you want to do with this? Because you have options now, real options." You spend the afternoon talking about possibilities. Elena wants to arrange a debut recital at Carnegie Hall. Says she has connections and can make it happen within a month. Dr. Chen wants you to consider doing a research study, documenting your gift for science. Professor Rodriguez wants to know if you can compose, if this gift extends to creation as well as performance. Marcus just wants to make sure you're okay, that you're not overwhelmed by all of this. And honestly, you are overwhelmed. 3 days ago, you were living a normal life. You had a regular job, regular problems, regular dreams. Now you're sitting in Juilliard talking about Carnegie Hall debut and research studies and viral videos. It's incredible and terrifying at the same time. Elena takes you to a practice room before you leave. She sits at the piano and says, "Play with me. Let's improvise together." And you do. She starts with a simple chord progression, and you join in, adding harmonies and counter melodies. Then you take the lead for a while, and she follows. It's like a conversation, but in music instead of words. You're speaking to each other through the piano, and you understand each other perfectly. When you finish, Elena has tears in her eyes. She says, "I have been playing piano for 50 years. I have performed in every major concert hall in the world. I have played with the greatest musicians of our time. But I have never experienced anything like what just happened. You're not just technically proficient. You have a soul in your playing that is rare and precious." She takes your hands in hers and says, "Whatever happens, whatever you decide to do with this gift, promise me you'll share it. The world needs beauty right now. The world needs music. And you can give that to people. Don't waste this." You leave Juilliard late in the afternoon, and your head is spinning. Your phone has been buzzing all day with messages, calls, emails. People from the viral video have tracked down your social media. You're getting offers to play at events, at weddings, at clubs. A record label sent you an email. A talent agent called twice. You need to think. So you go back to the park where you played on Saturday. The piano is there, and this time there's someone else playing it. A young kid, maybe 12 years old, working through a simple piece. They're making mistakes, hitting wrong notes, but they're trying. They're learning. You wait until they're done, then you clap. The kid looks surprised, a little embarrassed. You say, "That was great. How long have you been playing?" The kid says, "About a year. I'm not very good yet." You sit down next to them on the bench and say, "Can I show you something?" And you play the piece they were just working on, but you play it slowly, clearly, showing them how it's supposed to sound. Then you show them how to position their hands better, how to use their fingers more efficiently. The kid watches with wide eyes, absorbing everything. You spend half an hour with this kid, teaching them, encouraging them, and it feels good. It feels right. Because this gift isn't just about you performing on big stages. It's about sharing music, about passing it on, about helping other people find their own voice. When the kid's parent comes to pick them up, they thank you profusely. The kid says, "Will you be here again? Can I learn more from you?" And you say yes, because why not? If you're going to have this incredible gift, you might as well use it to help people. That evening, you're at home, and you realize you need to make some decisions. Do you quit your job and pursue music full-time? Do you take Elena up on the Carnegie Hall offer? Do you sign with the record label? Do you do the research study? These are huge, life-changing decisions, and you need to make them soon. You sit down at your laptop and start doing research. You look up other pianists, their careers, their paths to success. You read about Lang Lang and how he practiced 8 hours a day as a child. You read about Glenn Gould and his unconventional approaches to performance. You read about contemporary pianists who use social media to build their careers. And then you do something you've been avoiding. You really look at that viral video. You watch yourself playing in the park, and you see what other people are seeing. You see someone completely lost in the music, someone creating something beautiful without effort or pretension. You see joy and passion and a connection to something bigger than yourself. You read through the comments, really read them. People are talking about how your music helped them through hard times. Someone said they were thinking about giving up on life, but hearing your music reminded them that there's still beauty in the world. Someone else said they played your video for their grandmother, who has dementia, and she smiled for the first time in months. Your music is helping people. It's touching them, healing them, giving them hope. That's not something you can ignore. That's not something you can just treat as a hobby. You pick up your phone and call Marcus. When he answers, you say, "I want to do the Carnegie Hall recital. I want to share this with as many people as possible. But I also want to keep teaching that kid in the park and any other kids who want to learn. Can we make that happen?" Marcus is quiet for a moment. Then he says, Yeah, we can make that happen. We'll figure out a schedule. We'll make it work." He pauses, then says, "You're making the right choice. This gift was given to you for a reason. I don't know what that reason is, but sharing it, teaching it, using it to help people, that's exactly what you should be doing." You spend the rest of the evening making plans. You draft an email to your boss, explaining that you need to take a leave of absence. You might come back, you might not, but right now you need to see where this new path leads. You reach out to Elena and accept the Carnegie Hall offer. You contact the record label and say you're interested, but you want creative control. That night, you sit at your keyboard at home. It's just a cheap digital keyboard you bought years ago and barely used. But now it feels different. Under your fingers, you play quietly, working through some ideas, some original melodies that are forming in your mind. Professor Rodriguez was right to wonder if you can compose, because you can. The music is flowing out of you, not just reproductions of other people's work, but your own voice, your own stories told through sound. You record a little piece on your phone, just a simple melody, sad and sweet at the same time. You listen back to it, and you're surprised by how much emotion is packed into those few notes. You think about turning it into a full composition, maybe something you could play at Carnegie Hall. Your debut could include your own work alongside the classics. Before you go to bed, you post a message on social media. You say, "To everyone who watched the park video, thank you. Your comments have touched me deeply. I'm still figuring out what this gift means and how to use it, but I promise I'll share it with you. More music coming soon. And if you're in New York and you want free piano lessons, come to the park on Wednesday afternoons. Everyone's welcome." You post it and turn off your phone. Tomorrow is Tuesday, and you have a lot to do. You need to tell people about your leave of absence. You need to start preparing for Carnegie Hall. You need to figure out your life. But tonight, right now, you're just sitting in your apartment, and you're playing piano. Your fingers are moving across the keys, creating beauty out of thin air. And it feels like the most natural thing in the world. Like this is what you were always meant to do. Like everything before this was just preparation for this moment. You think about Elena's words. Don't waste this. You won't. You're going to use this gift to create as much beauty as you possibly can. You're going to touch as many lives as you can reach. You're going to teach people, inspire people, help people, find music in their own lives. Because that's what this gift is for. Not for fame or money or ego, though those things might come. It's for connection. It's for healing. It's for reminding people that there's still magic in the world, still beauty, still hope. You play one last piece before bed, something soft and gentle. It's like a lullaby, like you're playing for everyone who's ever needed comfort, who's ever felt alone, who's ever wondered if things would get better. The music says yes. Yes, things can get better. Yes, there's beauty waiting. Yes, you're not alone. And as you play these final notes, letting them fade into silence, you realize that you're not just a person who can play piano. You're a person with a purpose. And tomorrow, you're going to wake up and start living that purpose with everything you have. Time for's Wednesday afternoon, and you're back at the park. You've set up a little sign next to the piano that says, "Free piano lessons, all welcome." You weren't sure if anyone would show up, but there are already 5 people waiting. The kid from Monday is there, bouncing with excitement. There's a teenager with headphones around her neck, an older man with silver hair, a young woman with a toddler in a stroller, and a middle-aged guy in a business suit who looks like he came straight from work. You introduce yourself to everyone, and one by one, they tell you why they're here. The kid, whose name is Jamie, wants to get better so they can audition for their school's talent show. The teenager, Sophia, says she used to take lessons, but her family couldn't afford them anymore. The older man, Robert, says he always wanted to learn piano, but never had the chance when he was younger. The young woman, Keisha, wants to learn so she can play lullabies for her daughter. The business suit guy, David, says he saw your video and something in him woke up. Some dream he'd forgotten about. You spend the next 2 hours with them, rotating through, giving each person individual attention. With Jamie, you work on finger exercises and show them how to practice more efficiently. With Sophia, you help her remember what she learned before and build on it. With Robert, you start from the absolute beginning, showing him where middle C is, how to read simple sheet music. With Keisha, you teach her a simple melody she can play with one hand while she rocks her baby with the other. With David, you explore what draws him to piano, what kind of music moves him. And the amazing thing is, you're good at this, not just at playing, but at teaching. You can see where each person is struggling and know exactly how to help them. You can break down complex concepts into simple steps. You can encourage without being condescending, correct without being harsh. Teaching feels almost as natural as playing. By the time the session ends, there's a small crowd of people who've gathered to watch and listen. Some of them want to sign up for next week's lesson. You end up with a list of 15 names, all people who want to learn from you. It's overwhelming, but in a good way. Jamie's parent pulls you aside before they leave and says, "Thank you. Jamie hasn't been this excited about anything in months. You're giving them something to work toward, something to be proud of." They press a $20 bill into your hand, even though you said the lessons were free. You try to refuse, but they insist. For your time, they say, for caring. After everyone leaves, you sit at the piano alone for a minute, and you play something just for yourself, something quiet and reflective. You're thinking about how much your life has changed in less than a week, how every day brings something new, something unexpected. Your phone rings. It's Elena. She says, "I have news." Carnegie Hall confirmed the date, 6 weeks from now, Friday evening. It's one of their smaller venues, the Weil Recital Hall, but it seats 268 people. We'll sell it out in a day, I'm sure of it. She pauses, then says, "How are you feeling about this?" You tell her the truth. You're excited and terrified. 6 weeks seems like forever and no time at all. She laughs and says, "That's exactly how you should feel. A little fear keeps you sharp. Now we need to choose your program. What do you want to play?" You spend the next hour on the phone with her, discussing pieces. She suggests the classics, the pieces that audiences love: Chopin, Liszt, Rachmaninoff. But you also want to include something contemporary, something unexpected, and you want to play at least one original composition, something that's entirely yours. She loves that idea. She says, yes, give them something they can't hear anywhere else. Show them not just that you can play, but that you can create. That's what will make this recital memorable. That evening, you meet with the record label people. They want to sign you to a 3-album deal, want to record you playing the classics, want to market you as a phenomenon. The money they're offering is substantial, enough that you wouldn't have to worry about finances for years. But you have conditions. You want to keep doing the free lessons. You want creative control over what you record. You want a portion of the proceeds to go to music education programs for underprivileged kids. The label executives exchange glances. Then the main one, a sharp woman named Patricia, smiles and says, "That's exactly the kind of artist we want to work with. Someone who cares about more than just themselves. Let's make this happen." You sign a preliminary agreement, pending your lawyer looking it over. You don't have a lawyer yet, but Marcus knows someone who specializes in music industry contracts. Everything is moving so fast, but it feels right. It feels like you're building something meaningful. Thursday, you go to Juilliard for the research study. They have you in an MRI machine, scanning your brain while you imagine playing different pieces. They test your reflexes, your neural pathways, your auditory processing. Dr. Chen tells you that your brain is lighting up in ways he's never seen before when you think about music. He says, "It's like you have all the neural pathways that should take years to develop, but they appeared overnight. We've never documented anything like this. Would you be open to being part of a longer study? We'd want to track your progress, see how your playing evolves, understand the neurological basis for your gift." You agree, because you're curious too. You want to understand what happened to you, how it happened, why it happened. Maybe your case can help science understand human potential in new ways. After the testing, Professor Rodriguez takes you to a composition workshop. There are student composers there, working on their pieces, and he has you sit in. He says, "I want you to try something. Can you take what you hear and elaborate on it? Can you take someone else's melody and develop it?" One of the students plays a simple melody they've been working on. It's nice but undeveloped, just a basic tune. Professor Rodriguez nods at you, and you sit at the piano. You play the melody back, exactly as the student played it. Then you start to develop it. You add harmonies, create variations, explore different moods and tempos. You turn that simple melody into something rich and complex, showing all the potential hidden in those few notes. The student composer is staring at you with their mouth open. They say, "That's what I was hearing in my head but couldn't figure out how to do. How did you know?" You say, "I just followed where the music wanted to go." And it's true. You can hear the potential in any melody, can see all the different paths it could take. It's like the music is alive and has its own logic, and you're just helping it become what it wants to be. Professor Rodriguez pulls you aside after the workshop. He says, "You're not just a performer, you're a complete musician. You have the ears of a composer, the hands of a virtuoso, and the heart of a teacher. That's incredibly rare. Most musicians specialize. But you're something else entirely." That night, you sit down at your keyboard and you compose. Really compose from scratch. You start with a feeling you want to express, this sense of wonder and possibility that's been with you all week, and you translate that feeling into music. The piece is joyful and complex, with moments of quiet introspection and moments of soaring triumph. You work on it for hours, refining it, perfecting it. When you finally finish, it's almost 2 a.m. You play it through one more time, recording it on your phone, and you're amazed. This is good. This is really, genuinely good. Not just technically proficient, but emotionally resonant. It tells a story without words. You send the recording to Elena with a message. Thinking about playing this at Carnegie Hall. What do you think? You don't expect a response until morning, but she replies within 5 minutes. It's beautiful. It's perfect. Play it. And if you're not too tired, can you send me the sheet music? I want to study it. You realize you haven't written down the sheet music yet. It's all just in your head. But you sit down and transcribe it, and it flows out of you as naturally as playing did. Within an hour, you have the full score written out. Every note, every dynamic marking, every expression. You send it to Elena, then collapse into bed. Friday morning, you wake up to dozens of messages. Your social media has exploded. Someone posted about your free lessons in the park, and now you're being called the people's pianist. There are articles being written about you, interviews being requested, TV shows asking if you'll come on and play. One message stands out. It's from a hospital in the Bronx. They're asking if you'd consider coming to play for the patients in their cancer ward. They say music therapy has been shown to help with pain management and emotional well-being, and after seeing your viral video, they thought you might be interested. You don't even hesitate. You reply immediately and say yes, of course. When do they want you? They respond within minutes, asking if you can come that afternoon. You clear your schedule and go. The hospital brings in a keyboard to the cancer ward's common room. There are maybe 20 patients there in various stages of treatment. Some are in wheelchairs, some have IV drips, some are bald from chemotherapy. They all look tired, but when you sit down at the keyboard, they look hopeful. You start with something soft and soothing. Debussy's Clair de Lune. The music fills the room like light through water, gentle and healing. You can see tension leaving people's shoulders, worry lines on foreheads smoothing out. A few people close their eyes and just listen, just breathe. You play for an hour, taking requests, talking with people between pieces. One woman asks for You Are My Sunshine because her daughter used to sing it to her. You play it slow and tender, and the woman cries, but they're good tears. Tears of remembering, of love. A man who can't be more than 30 asks if you know any Beatles songs. You play Let It Be, and half the room sings along quietly. The music is bringing them together, reminding them they're not alone in this fight. Before you leave, a young girl, maybe 16, comes up to you. She's tiny and frail, and she's wearing a hospital gown and fuzzy slippers. She says, I play piano too, or I used to before I got sick. Will you play something with me? The nurses bring another keyboard, and you sit next to her. You ask what she wants to play, and she says, Heart and Soul. It's simple, but it's my favorite. You play the bass part while she plays the melody, and even though her fingers are weak and she misses some notes, it's beautiful. It's two people making music together, and that's what matters. When you're done, she hugs you. She whispers, Thank you. I forgot I could still do this. I forgot I was still me. And your heart breaks and heals at the same time, because this is why you have this gift. For moments like this, for reminding people who they are underneath their circumstances. The hospital staff asks if you'll come back, if you'll make this a regular thing. You say yes, absolutely, as often as they want. They tell you stories about what happened after you left, how patients who hadn't smiled in weeks were humming your melodies, how the mood on the whole ward shifted, became lighter, more hopeful. That evening, you're exhausted but fulfilled. You grab dinner at a small restaurant, and while you're eating, the owner comes over. He says, "Are you the pianist from the videos?" When you nod, his face lights up. He says, "Would you play for us, please? We have a piano in the corner. No one plays it anymore, but maybe." You look around the restaurant. It's a family place, warm and cozy, maybe 15 tables, all full. People are eating and talking, enjoying their meals. You say, "Won't it disturb people?" The owner laughs. "Disturb them? No, no. It will make their night. Please, I'll give you a free meal. Whatever you want." So you play. You play Italian songs and jazz standards and classical pieces. You play softly enough that people can still talk, but loud enough that the music becomes part of the atmosphere. The mood in the restaurant shifts. Conversations become more animated. A couple at one table gets up and slow dances between the tables. Kids stop fidgeting and watch you play. You play for 2 hours, and by the end, half the restaurant knows your name. People are posting videos on social media, tagging the restaurant, saying everyone needs to come here because there's live piano music. The owner is beaming, already planning to make this a regular thing, to advertise piano nights. When you finally leave, your fingers are tired, but your soul is full. In just one day, you've played for cancer patients, for restaurant diners, for strangers who became friends. You've made people smile, made them cry, made them dance, made them remember. You've used your gift to bring joy and healing and beauty into the world. Saturday, your phone wakes you up. It's Marcus, and he sounds excited. He says, "Turn on Good Morning America right now." You stumble to your TV and turn it on. They're doing a segment about viral sensations, and you're one of them. They show the park video, but they also have footage from the restaurant last night, and someone sent them video from the hospital. The anchor is talking about you, calling you the mysterious pianist who appeared out of nowhere and is taking the internet by storm. They have a music critic on who says, "What's remarkable is not just the technical skill, which is obviously extraordinary. It's the emotional depth. This person plays like they've lived 100 lives. There's wisdom and joy and sorrow in their music. It's genuinely moving." The segment ends with them saying, "You'll be performing at Carnegie Hall next month, and tickets are already sold out," which is news to you, but you text Elena and she confirms it. All 268 seats sold in 3 days. They could have sold 1,000 if the venue were bigger. Your mom calls. You've been so busy you haven't had a chance to properly tell her what's happening. She's crying. She says, "I just saw you on TV, on national TV, playing piano. When did you learn to play piano?" You tell her the whole story, from Sarah's brunch to now. She's quiet for a long time, then she says, "This is a miracle. I don't know how else to explain it. You've been given a miracle, and you're using it to help people. I'm so proud of you." You talk to her for an hour, catching her up on everything, answering her questions. She wants to come to the Carnegie Hall performance, wants to bring your dad, your sister, everyone. You promise to get them tickets, to make sure they have the best seats. The rest of the weekend is a whirlwind. You practice for Carnegie Hall, working with Elena on the program, refining your interpretation of each piece. You compose more of your own music, surprising yourself with how naturally it comes. You teach more lessons in the park, now with 30 students, all eager to learn. Sunday evening, you're back at the park piano, playing as the sun sets. There are maybe 100 people gathered around, listening quietly. Some are sitting on the grass, some are standing, some are swaying to the music. You're playing an original composition, something you wrote just that morning, inspired by the sunrise you watch from your apartment window. The music is gentle and hopeful, building slowly toward something transcendent. And as you play the final notes, the last light of the sun catches the piano keys, making them glow golden. The moment is perfect, pure. This is what you were meant to do. This is where you're meant to be. When the last note fades, there's that beautiful silence. Then applause, warm and genuine. People are smiling, some are wiping their eyes. An old man comes up and says, "Thank you. My wife loved the piano. She passed away last month. Hearing you play tonight, it felt like she was here with me for a moment." You take his hand and say, "She was here." Music connects us to the people we love, no matter where they are. And he nods, grateful, and walks away a little less alone than he was before. You pack up your things, say goodnight to the lingering crowd, and start walking home. Your first week as a pianist has been extraordinary. You've played in concert halls and hospitals, in parks and restaurants. You've taught beginners and jammed with professionals. You've composed music and shared your gift with thousands of people. And this is just the beginning. Carnegie Hall is coming. The recording contract is coming. More students, more performances, more chances to create beauty and touch lives. Your whole world has opened up, and the possibilities are endless. But right now, walking home under the stars, you're just someone who loves music and is grateful for the chance to share it. That's enough. That's everything. 3 weeks in, and your life has completely transformed. You officially took a leave of absence from your old job. And honestly, you don't think you're going back. This new life, this life full of music, feels like the one you were always supposed to be living. You wake up every morning excited about the day ahead, and you fall asleep with melodies running through your mind. You've established a routine now. Mornings are for composition and practice. You've rented a small studio space, nothing fancy, just a room with a decent grand piano and good acoustics. You spend 3 hours every morning working on your craft, pushing yourself, exploring new techniques, developing your own style. Elena comes by twice a week to coach you. She says you don't need coaching in the traditional sense, but she helps you understand the context of the pieces you're playing. She tells you stories about the composers, about what was happening in their lives when they wrote these pieces. She helps you find your own interpretations rather than just playing notes on a page. One morning, she brings another pianist with her. His name is Alexander, and he's famous, someone whose recordings you've heard without realizing it. He says he wanted to meet you, to hear you play in person. So you play for him, and when you're done, He's quiet for a long time. Finally, he says, "You know what's extraordinary about your playing? You have no bad habits. Most of us develop quirks over years of practice, little things we have to unlearn. But you're coming to this fresh, and it means your technique is pure, clean, exactly as it should be." He shakes his head in wonder. "I've spent 40 years trying to achieve what you do naturally." He sits at the piano and plays a duet with you, a Brahms piece that requires perfect coordination between two players. You've never played it before, but you sight read your part flawlessly, and the two of you make music together that gives you chills. When you finish, you're both grinning like kids. He says, "We should perform together. Would you be interested in doing a 2-piano concert?" And just like that, you're planning another major performance. Alexander's manager starts calling your manager. Yes, you have a manager now. Someone Patricia from the record label set you up with. Dates are discussed. Venues are considered. This is your life now. Planning concerts with world-famous pianists like it's the most normal thing in the world. Afternoons are for teaching. Your park lessons have grown so popular that you've had to start a wait list. You're teaching 40 students now, from age 7 to 70. You've organized them into skill levels, from absolute beginners to advanced players who just want guidance. You do group sessions and private lessons, and you never charge a penny. People have tried to pay you. They've offered you money, gifts, favors, but you always refuse. You say, "Music is a gift. I'm just passing it on." Though you do accept the donations people leave in the jar by the piano, and every month you give that money to a different music program in an underfunded school. One of your students, Sophia, the teenager who couldn't afford lessons anymore, is progressing incredibly fast. She has real talent, and with proper guidance, she could be extraordinary. You talk to her after a lesson one day and say, "Have you thought about applying to music schools? You could get a scholarship. You're good enough." She looks surprised, then doubtful. She says, "Schools like Juilliard don't accept people like me. I don't have the training, the connections. I'm just a kid from the Bronx who took a few lessons." You say, "Let me make some calls. Let me see what I can do." And you call Marcus, explain the situation. He says to send him a recording of Sophia playing. You record her next lesson, her playing a piece she's been working on, and you send it to him. 2 days later, he calls back and says, Juilliard wants to meet her. They're willing to do an audition. Consider her for their young artists program. When you tell Sophia, she cries. Her mother cries. They hug you so tightly you can barely breathe. Sophia says, "You changed my life. Just by believing in me, you changed everything. And you realize this is another way to use your gift, not just by playing, but by opening doors for other people, by giving them chances they wouldn't have otherwise." Evenings you perform. Sometimes it's at the restaurant, which has become a regular Thursday night gig. Sometimes it's at the hospital, which you visit every Tuesday. Sometimes it's at corporate events, weddings, private parties. People pay you now substantial amounts, and you donate half of everything you earn to music education charities. One evening, you're playing at a fundraiser for children's cancer research. It's a fancy event, black tie, held in a beautiful ballroom. You're providing background music during dinner, playing jazz standards and light classical pieces. But after dinner, They ask if you'll play something more substantial, something for people to really listen to. You play a piece you composed called Hope. You wrote it after your first visit to the hospital cancer ward, inspired by that young girl who played heart and soul with you. The piece starts soft and fragile, like a question, like uncertainty, but it builds gradually, becoming stronger and more confident, until it's this soaring, triumphant declaration that, yes, there is hope. Yes, there is light. Yes, we can overcome. By the time you finish, there's not a dry eye in the room. The event organizer comes over and says, "That was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. What was it called?" You tell her, "Hope. I wrote it for the kids fighting cancer." She asks if you'd be willing to record it, let them use it for their campaigns. You say yes, of course. Anything that helps. That night, your recording of Hope raises an additional $200,000 for cancer research. People are moved by it, inspired by it, and they want to contribute to a cause that produces such beauty in the face of suffering. The weeks fly by, and suddenly Carnegie Hall is just 3 days away. You're nervous now, really nervous. This is different from playing in parks and restaurants and hospital wards. This is the big time. This is your official debut as a concert pianist, and the pressure is intense. Elena takes you to the hall for a rehearsal. You walk onto the stage of the viol recital hall, and it takes your breath away. The seats are empty now, but you can imagine them filled with people, all there to hear you play. The stage is beautiful. The piano is perfect. The acoustics are incredible. This is what you've been building toward. You sit at the piano and play a few notes, testing the sound. It's glorious. This piano is responsive and powerful, with a tone that's both bright and warm. You start playing your program, running through the pieces you'll perform. Elena sits in the audience, listening critically, giving you notes. More legato in that passage. Don't rush here. Let it breathe. Beautiful. That's exactly right. After the rehearsal, you sit on the edge of the stage, legs dangling over the side, and you just take it all in. Elena sits next to you. She says, "How are you feeling?" You say, "Scared, excited, grateful, all of it at once." She nods. "That's good. That means you care. If you weren't nervous, I'd be worried." She's quiet for a moment, then says, "You're going to be brilliant. You know that, right? You've prepared well. You know the music inside and out. And you have something special, something that can't be taught. You have the ability to make people feel." You spend the next 2 days in final preparation. You play through your program over and over until you could do it in your sleep. You work with a vocal coach to learn proper stage presence, how to walk on and off stage, how to bow, how to connect with an audience. You pick out what you're going to wear, something elegant but not too formal, something that feels like you. The night before the concert, you can't sleep. You're too wound up, too nervous, too excited. You sit at your keyboard at 3 a.m, playing softly, trying to calm your nerves. You play through your program one more time. Then you play just for yourself, improvising, letting the music take you wherever it wants to go. And somewhere in that improvisation, you find peace. You remember why you're doing this, not for fame or recognition, though those are nice. You're doing it because music is a gift, and gifts are meant to be shared. You're doing it because somewhere in that audience tomorrow night will be people who need beauty in their lives, who need to be reminded that magic exists, who need to feel something profound. You're doing it for the cancer patient who told you music was the only thing that helped with the pain, for the kid learning piano in the park who dreams of being on stage someday, for the old man whose wife loved piano and who finds comfort in hearing you play, for everyone who's ever been touched by music and wants to feel that again. The day of the concert arrives. You wake up feeling calm, centered, ready. You do your morning practice, keeping your fingers limber, keeping your mind focused. You have a light lunch, not wanting to play on a full stomach. You do some breathing exercises, some meditation, staying present and grounded. Your family arrives in the afternoon. Your mom, your dad, your sister, your nephew. They're staying at a hotel nearby, and they come by your apartment before the concert. Your mom hugs you so tightly, you can feel her love in your bones. Your dad, who's not usually emotional, has tears in his eyes. Your sister says, "I always knew you'd do something amazing. I just didn't know it would be this." You all head to Carnegie Hall together. You go to the green room while your family heads to their seats. Marcus is there, and Elena and Patricia from the record label. They're all there to support you, to wish you luck, to remind you that you've got this. A stage manager comes to tell you it's almost time. The hall is full. Everyone's in their seats. The lights are dimming. This is it. This is the moment. You take a deep breath. You think about everything that's led to this moment. A random Saturday morning at a friend's apartment. Your fingers touching piano keys for the first time and finding they knew what to do. Every person you've played for since then, every life you've touched, every moment of beauty you've created. The stage manager says, "You're on." You walk onto the stage. The audience applauds, warm and welcoming. The lights are bright but not blinding. You can see faces in the first few rows. You see your family. You see Marcus and Dr. Chen. You see Jamie from the park and Sophia and some of your other students. You see the young girl from the hospital cancer ward, sitting with her parents, wearing a beautiful dress and a big smile. You bow to the audience, then you walk to the piano. You sit down, adjust the bench, place your hands on the keys. The hall is completely silent. 268 people holding their breath, waiting. And you begin. You start with Chopin's Nocturne in a flat major, the piece you played at Sarah's apartment all those weeks ago. But you're playing it differently now. You're playing it with all the experience you've gained, all the people you've played for, all the emotions you've felt. The music is tender and searching, full of longing and hope and beauty. The acoustics of the hall are perfect. Every note rings out clear and true, filling the space, reaching every person in the audience. You can feel them listening, really listening, giving themselves over to the music. This is what it's all about, this connection, this shared experience of beauty. You move through your program piece by piece, lists La Campanella, which gets gasps from the audience at the technical difficulty, Rachmaninoff's Prelude in C-sharp minor, which makes the whole hall vibrate with its power, Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, which brings people to tears with its emotional depth. And then, after intermission, you play your own compositions, Hope, which you dedicated to cancer research, Awakening, which is about discovering your gift, and a new piece, one you finished just last week, called The Gift, which is about the responsibility that comes with talent, the duty to share and teach and give back. When you play the final notes of The Gift, letting them fade into silence, the hall stays quiet for a long moment. It's that sacred silence that comes after something profound, when nobody wants to break the spell. Then the applause starts. It's not polite concert applause. It's enthusiastic, emotional, overwhelming. People are standing, clapping. Some are wiping their eyes. The applause goes on, and you stand and bow again. And the applause doesn't stop. You see your mom in the audience, crying and clapping. You see the girl from the hospital, beaming with joy. You see strangers who are moved, who are grateful, who have just experienced something they'll remember for the rest of their lives. You play an encore, Debussy's Clair de Lune, and the hall falls silent again, everyone transported by the beauty of it. When you finish, the standing ovation continues for what feels like forever. Backstage afterward, there's a line of people wanting to meet you, to congratulate you, to thank you. Critics who say it was the most impressive debut they've ever witnessed. Musicians who want to collaborate with you. Fans who just want to shake your hand and tell you how much your music means to them. But the moment that matters most is when the young girl from the hospital comes backstage with her parents. She's holding a small bouquet of flowers, and she hands them to you with a shy smile. She says, "Thank you for playing heart and soul with me, and thank you for tonight. You reminded me that I want to get better so I can do this too someday, so I can make people feel the way you made me feel." You kneel down to her level and say, "You will. I know you will. Keep fighting, keep believing, keep playing, and when you get better, come find me. We'll play together again." She hugs you, and you hug her back, and in that moment, you understand completely why you have this gift. It's for moments like this. It's for giving people hope, for inspiring them, for reminding them of their own strength and potential. Later that night, after everyone's gone and you're finally alone, you go back into the empty hall. The stage manager lets you sit at the piano one more time, just for a minute. You play something quiet, just for yourself. A little prayer of gratitude for this incredible gift you've been given. Your phone is full of messages. Reviews are already being published. A stunning debut. A once-in-a-generation talent. Technically flawless and emotionally devastating. The New York Times critic wrote, "In a world that often feels devoid of magic, this pianist reminds us that beauty still exists, that transcendence is possible, that music can heal." But the message that means the most is from Sarah, your friend who hosted that brunch all those weeks ago. She writes, "I always knew that piano was special. I just didn't know it was waiting for you. Thank you for sharing your gift with the world. You're changing lives." You think about how much has changed in just a month, how a simple decision to try playing piano at a party has led to all of this. Concert halls and hospital wards, students and compositions, connections and healing and beauty. You've gone from someone with an ordinary life to someone who touches thousands of lives with music. And the amazing thing is, this is still just the beginning. There are more concerts to play, more students to teach, more music to compose, more lives to touch. The path ahead is full of possibility and promise, and you can't wait to see where it leads. You play one last quiet chord on the Carnegie Hall piano. Let it ring out into the empty hall. Then you stand up and walk off the stage. Tomorrow, the adventure continues. Tonight, you rest in the knowledge that you're exactly where you're meant to be, doing exactly what you were born to do. 6 months have passed since your Carnegie Hall debut, and your life is completely unrecognizable from what it was before. You're not just a pianist anymore. You're a phenomenon, a movement, a symbol of what's possible when talent meets purpose. But more importantly, you're still yourself. Still someone who plays in parks. Still someone who teaches for free. Still someone who believes music should be shared, not hoarded. Your first album just dropped last week. It's called Awakening, and it features your original compositions alongside your interpretations of the classics. The record label wanted to do something traditional, but you insisted on including your own work. You wanted people to hear not just what you can play, but what you can create. The album debuted at #1 on the classical charts and crossed over to the mainstream charts too, which almost never happens for classical music. People who've never listened to piano music before are discovering it through your work. Teenagers are streaming your songs, making videos with your music in the background, using your compositions in their own creative projects. Patricia from the record label calls you one morning, excited. She says, "You're not going to believe this. Your song Hope is being used in a major film. It's going to be the main theme for this movie about a teacher in an underprivileged school who starts a music program. They want you to do the whole soundtrack." A film soundtrack. You're being asked to score a movie. This gift just keeps opening doors you never knew existed. You say yes, because the movie's message aligns with everything you believe in. Music education, giving kids opportunities, believing in people's potential. This is exactly the kind of project you want to be part of. You spend the next 2 months working on the soundtrack, composing music that captures the emotional arc of the film. You write themes for different characters, create motifs that evolve as the story progresses, craft moments of quiet introspection and soaring triumph. The director comes to your studio to work with you, and she's amazed at how quickly you work, how intuitively you understand what each scene needs. She says, "Most composers need weeks to develop themes. You're giving me perfect pieces in days. It's like the music already exists somewhere, and you're just channeling it." And maybe that's true. Maybe music does exist somewhere out there, waiting to be discovered, and you're just the one lucky enough to hear it first. You don't question it anymore. You just accept it, use it, share it. Your teaching has expanded too. The park sessions are still happening, bigger than ever, with over 100 students now. But you've also started a scholarship program, funded by your performance fees and album sales. The program pays for music lessons, instruments, and music school tuition for kids who couldn't afford it otherwise. Sophia, your student who auditioned for Juilliard, got in. Full scholarship. She's thriving there, studying with the best teachers in the world, and she credits you with changing her life. but you tell her she changed her own life. You just opened a door. She's the one who walked through it and worked hard enough to succeed. You've started getting letters from people all over the world, people who heard your music and were moved by it. A woman in Australia who says your album helped her through a difficult divorce. A man in Japan who plays your music for his newborn daughter every night. A teenager in Brazil who started taking piano lessons because of your videos. A soldier in Afghanistan who listens to your music to stay calm in difficult situations. Each letter reminds you that music is universal, that it crosses all boundaries and speaks to something fundamental in the human experience. You try to respond to as many letters as you can, even if it's just a short message of thanks and encouragement. People took the time to tell you what your music means to them. The least you can do is acknowledge that. You've been invited to perform at some of the world's most prestigious venues: the Royal Albert Hall in London, the Sydney Opera House, the Berlin Philharmonie. You're touring internationally now, bringing your music to audiences around the globe. But wherever you go, you make time to play in public spaces, in hospitals, in schools. You never forget where you started or why you do this. In London, after your concert at the Royal Albert Hall, you find a piano in a train station. It's one of those public pianos, a bit beaten up, but you sit down and play anyway. Within minutes, there are hundreds of people gathered, commuters on their way home, tourists with their luggage, everyone stopping to listen. You play for half an hour, and when you finish, a little girl comes up and hands you a drawing she made while you were playing. It's a picture of you at the piano, with music notes floating up into the sky, turning into birds. She says, "That's what your music sounds like it's flying away to make the world more beautiful." You keep that drawing. You frame it and put it in your studio. And whenever you're feeling tired or overwhelmed or questioning why you're doing this, you look at that picture and remember. The music flies away and makes the world more beautiful. That's your purpose. That's your gift. In Sydney, you visit a children's hospital similar to the one in New York. You play for the kids there, and one boy, maybe 8 years old, asks if you can teach him one song. Just one, so he can play it for his mom when he gets out of the hospital. You spend 2 hours with him, teaching him a simple version of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. His fingers are weak from treatment, but he persists, and by the end of the session, he can play it through. His mom comes in just as he's finishing, and he plays it for her, this simple little melody that he's worked so hard to learn. She cries, tells him it's the most beautiful thing she's ever heard, and you realize that's what matters. Not the complexity of the music, not the technical skill, but the connection it creates, the love it expresses, the hope it represents. Back in New York, you're working on your second album. This one is going to be all original compositions, a complete statement of your artistic vision. You're not just playing other people's music anymore. You're creating a body of work that's entirely your own, music that reflects your experiences over these past months, your thoughts on art and purpose and connection. One of the pieces is called The Teacher, inspired by all the students you've worked with. It starts with a simple melody, like a beginner's first lesson, and it grows more complex as it progresses, adding layers and harmonies, becoming more confident and mature. It's a musical representation of learning, of growth, of potential realized. Another piece is called Letters from Strangers, and it incorporates themes from all the messages you've received. Each section represents a different letter, a different person's story. It's joyful and sad and hopeful and melancholy all mixed together. Because that's what humanity is. All these different stories, all these different emotions, all connected by the universal language of music. You're also working on a book. A publisher reached out after seeing an interview where you talked about your teaching philosophy, about how you believe everyone has musical potential, about how music isn't just for the elite or the specially trained. They want you to write about your approach to music, your methods, your beliefs. You're writing it not as an instruction manual, but as a love letter to music itself. You write about what music means, why it matters, how it connects us to each other and to something larger than ourselves. You write about the responsibility that comes with talent, the importance of sharing rather than gatekeeping. You write about all the people who've touched your life through music and all the ways music has touched theirs. The book is tentatively titled The Piano in the Park, Finding Beauty in Unexpected Places, because that's really what this whole journey has been about. Finding beauty everywhere, sharing it generously, making it accessible to everyone who wants to experience it. One afternoon, you're at your favorite coffee shop, working on a chapter, when someone sits down across from you. It's an elderly man, probably in his 80s, distinguished looking. He says, "Excuse me, but are you the pianist? The one from the videos?" You nod, expecting him to ask for an autograph or a selfie, but instead he says, "I need to tell you something. I was a concert pianist many years ago. I played all over the world, won competitions, made recordings, but I lost my way. I let ego and ambition corrupt what should have been pure. I played for applause instead of for music, and eventually I stopped playing altogether. I couldn't remember why I'd loved it in the first place." He pauses, his eyes getting misty. "But then I saw your video, the one in the park, and the way you played with such joy and generosity, no pretension, just pure love of music. It reminded me why I started playing in the first place. So I went home and sat at my piano for the first time in 15 years. And I played, just for myself, just for the joy of it. You gave me my music back." He stands up to leave, then turns back and says, "Thank you. Thank you for reminding an old man what really matters." And he walks away, leaving you sitting there with tears in your eyes, understanding more clearly than ever that this gift isn't just for you. It's for everyone it touches, everyone it inspires, everyone it reminds of their own potential. You perform at Lincoln Center, and Alexander, the famous pianist who wanted to do a 2-piano concert with you, joins you on stage. You play Brahms variations on a theme by Haydn, and the 2 pianos weave together in perfect harmony, having this conversation in music that's more profound than any words could be. The audience goes wild, standing ovation, flowers thrown on stage, shouts of bravo. But the moment you treasure most is when Alexander leans over during the applause and says, "Playing with you is like being young again. You haven't forgotten that music is supposed to be fun. Thank you for reminding me." You're invited to the White House to perform at a state dinner. It's surreal, playing for presidents and dignitaries and ambassadors. But you treat it the same as playing in the park. The music is the same. The purpose is the same. You're there to create beauty and share it, regardless of who's listening. After the performance, the First Lady pulls you aside and tells you about a program she's launching to bring music education back to public schools. She asks if you'd be willing to be a spokesperson to use your platform to advocate for arts education. Of course you say yes. This is exactly the kind of thing you want to be involved in. You start doing PSAs, giving talks at education conferences, meeting with legislators about funding for music programs. You use your newfound fame for something meaningful, something that will outlast your own career. Because ultimately, it's not about you. It's about the next generation of musicians, the kids who have potential, but no opportunity. You want to make sure they get their chance the way you got yours. Your mom calls one evening and she sounds emotional. She says, "Your nephew, you know he's been taking piano lessons now because of you. His teacher says he has real talent. She says he could go far if he keeps with it. And when I asked him why he wanted to play piano, he said, because I want to be like Aunt Uncle. I want to make people happy with music." You feel this warmth spread through your chest. Your gift is rippling outward, inspiring others to find their own gifts, to develop their own talents, to share their own joy. This is how it's supposed to work. One person receives something beautiful and passes it on, and it multiplies, spreading out in all directions, touching more and more lives. You arrange to give your nephew some lessons next time you visit your family, and not just him, but any kids in their town who want to learn. You'll do a workshop, a master class, something to plant seeds that might grow into forests someday. The young girl from the hospital, the one who played heart and soul with you, has finished her treatment. She's in remission. Her parents send you a video of her at home, playing piano, practicing every day, getting stronger in every way. She's learning the pieces you played for her in the hospital, working her way toward being able to play them herself someday. She sends you a message that says, "When I grow up, I want to be a doctor and a pianist. I want to help sick kids get better. And then I want to play music for them, just like you played for me. Thank you for showing me what's possible." You save that message. You save all these messages, all these stories of how your music has touched lives, changed paths, inspired dreams. On days when you're tired or doubting yourself or feeling overwhelmed by the demands of this new life, you read through them and remember why it all matters. You're sitting in your studio late one night, working on a new composition. This one doesn't have a name yet. It's still forming, still finding its shape. It's about this whole journey, about transformation and purpose, and the mysterious way gifts come into our lives. The melody is contemplative, wondering, as if asking questions. How did this happen? Why me? What does it mean? But gradually, the questions give way to acceptance, to gratitude, to joy. The music becomes celebratory, not because of success or fame, but because of the sheer privilege of being able to create beauty, to share it, to watch it ripple out into the world. You play through what you've written so far, and even though it's not finished, it feels true. It feels like your story, captured in sound, You record it on your phone, just a rough version, and you send it to Elena with a note. This is what the past 6 months have felt like. Still working on the ending, but I think it's going to be about beginnings, not endings. About how every performance, every lesson, every connection is a new start. She texts back almost immediately. It's beautiful, and you're right about the ending. This isn't the end of anything. This is the beginning of everything. Keep playing, keep teaching, keep creating. The world needs what you have to give. You look around your studio at all the evidence of this new life, the awards on the shelf, but also the drawings from children, the thank you letters, the photos of students who've gone on to music school, the gold record for your album, but also the newspaper article about the scholarship program you started, the invitations to play at prestigious venues, but also the schedule for next week's free lessons in the park. This is your life now. All of it. The grand and the humble, the famous and the anonymous. Playing for thousands in concert halls and playing for one sick child in a hospital room. Both matter. Both are part of the gift. You turn off the lights in your studio and head home, humming the melody you just composed. Tomorrow you have a morning session with your students, then an interview with a classical music magazine, then a rehearsal for an upcoming concert. The day after, you're flying to Boston to play at Symphony Hall. The week after that, you're going back to the hospital cancer ward for your regular visit. Your life is full, sometimes overwhelmingly so, but it's full of meaning, full of purpose, full of connection. You're using your gift the way it was meant to be used, not just to advance your own career, but to lift others up, to create beauty in a world that needs it, to remind people of their own potential. As you walk home through the quiet streets, you pass the park where this all really began. The piano is there, covered now because it's late and cool out. But tomorrow it will be uncovered again, and someone will play it. Maybe someone who's been playing for years. Maybe someone who's trying for the first time. Maybe someone who will discover, as you did, that they have a gift they never knew existed. Time twos. Because that's the thing about gifts. They're not just given to us. They're given through us, to be shared with everyone we meet. Your gift of piano mastery isn't just about playing notes perfectly. It's about creating moments of connection, of beauty, of transcendence. It's about touching lives and inspiring others and making the world a little more magical. You reach your apartment and sit at your keyboard one last time before bed. You play softly, not wanting to disturb the neighbors, playing just for yourself. It's a simple melody, nothing fancy, just a grateful goodnight to this gift that's changed everything. And as the notes fade into the quiet night, you think about tomorrow and all the tomorrows after that. All the music still to be made, all the lives still to be touched, all the beauty still to be created and shared. This journey isn't ending. It's expanding, growing, becoming more than you ever imagined it could be. You're not just living your dream. You're helping others discover theirs. And that's the greatest gift of all.